of mine!
Damnable roach! Provoke the blade and suffer its sting.
Go on. Give me a best shot. Not bad. Again.
I can't do it. I'm not like you.
Umi, I don't need you to be like me. You just have to buy enough time to run. Come on. I believe in you. You can do this.
You're on the right path, Umi. Go on now. Practice what you've learned.
Well met. The blade of frontiers at your...
The man's smile bends downward, and his thoughts become yours. You are the blade of frontiers racing through the wastes of Avernus. Just ahead, a diabolical figure, red skin, single curled horn, blazes with flame, bloodied great axe held high.
Hell's great fires. You were on the ship.
Better friends than the ones hitching a ride in our skulls, at least. I'm sure you know the stories. Doomed to shed our skin and become illithid. They say there's no coming back. But we haven't sprouted any tentacles. Not yet, anyway. Could just be good luck. I'm not so...
Your minds collide once more. Wyll chases the fiend ignited with rancor. She is an infernal war devil. A threat to the living. Evil incarnate.
Shit! You saw her. Advocatus Diaboli.
I'm no stranger to the infernal. Better to slay a devil before her fires burn common folk to ash. Her name is Karlach, an archdevil soldier I swore on my good eye to kill. I tracked her through the hells to the Mindflayer ship, but the damned illithids infected me before I could end her. She's out there now, preying on the innocent. I don't kill her, she'll leave behind nothing but a trail of corpses. Just so you know, my first duty is Karlach. I'm oath-bound to go after her. But I won't deny this infection is bothersome. I accept your invitation. You'll need to make room if you want to partner up, though. Still, when the time comes, call for the blade. I won't be long to answer. A splendid plan. We'll talk more there.
Good morning. How do you feel? It'll pass. Just be glad I'm not a true vampire. A bite from them and you might wake up as a vampire spawn, like my good self. All of a vampire's hunger, but few of their powers. Oh no. I should be cinders in this light. I hadn't seen the sun for 200 years before we crashed here. Someone, or something, wants me alive. They've changed the rules. Standing in the sun, wading through a river, wandering into homes without an invitation. They're all perfectly mundane activities now. As for my other quirks, well, We can figure those out in time. You're such a sweetheart. I'm just glad you're being sensible about these revelations. I was worried people might turn up with torches and pitchforks. Although there's still time.
So we're traveling with a vampire, are we? Of course we are. Word of warning, Astarion. I taste absolutely awful.
I'd just better not wake in the night to find fangs at my throat.
Quite the opposite. I'm here in the spirit of openness and honesty, to work together as a team.
Maybe we could get him to wear a bell, dissuade any nighttime prowling.
There now. We're all friends again. Shall we go? There's a long day ahead of us.
The Devil with the Silver Tongue. An old fairy tale my father read to me. The kind with a hero, a villain, and a moral. A farmer made a deal with the devil, so the story goes. In exchange for the farmer's dearest fruit, the devil granted him a bottomless coin purse. The farmer's dearest fruit, naturally, was no apple nor peach, but his beloved daughter. We can learn a lot from fairy tales, don't you think? Refuse him no matter how tempting the offer, no matter how delicious the feast he lays out for you. The cost's always too great. Take a single step towards him, and he'll dog you the whole journey. You might think you'd give up anything for a cure. But the devil won't take just anything. He'll take everything. One horn. The stink of Avernus. Advocatus Diaboli.
Well, I'll be God's damned. The Blade of Frontiers. Thought I'd shaken you for good. That'll teach me to underestimate you. Bloody right. An honor to be chased by the Blade of Frontiers, but I...
A great heat roars through you. Her heat, fiery as the hells. Then you're lost in visions of demonic armies as you tear through a landscape of fire and blood. The Blood War. You saw it from above as the Nautiloid passed through Avernus. This woman was on the front line.
What was that?
Evidence. Proof that you're a devil. A gladiator in the Archdevil Zariel's army.
I can explain, but it's a whole situation. If you just hear me out...
Another vision. Karlach's blade raised, slicing through devils, Zariel's servants, as her eyes dart around, seeking escape. Her rage and desperation seep into you. She's a victim of the Blood War, not an agent of it.
She's trying to trick us. Don't believe her lies.
You saw the truth. I never wanted to serve Zariel. I was enlisted in her army against my will. Forced to fight, and fight I did. When I saw an opportunity to get away, I took it. Finally home. Or near it, anyway.
You served her. That's enough to damn you. You don't know what you're saying. You're asking me to trust a devil.
You know monsters, right? Better than anyone. Look into my eyes. Can't you see I'm not what you think?
Shit. You really are no devil, are you? I've been deceived.
Oh, thank the gods. Thought I was gonna have to take your head.
You would have died in the attempt. But there have been enough threats today.
Truce then, eh?
Aye. Truce.
I'm Karlach, but you already knew that. And you are... Well met, soldier. Nice to meet a friendly around here. It's been tough going so far. I may not be a devil, but I can put the Blade's reputation to work. How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards? Little background, if your moral compass needs something to point at. You already know I fought in the Blood War. I was good. Really good. It turns out I've got a knack for killing demons. That made me a valuable asset. Zariel, the archdevil herself, made me as her personal attack dog. I played along until I could get the fuck out of there. But devils don't like to lose their assets. Zariel liked it so little. She sent a bunch of goons, so-called paladins of Tyr, to take me back. Problem is, I'm not going. Fuck yes! They cornered me outside the toll house just up the hill. Doubt they've gone far after the scorching I gave them. Then we can work on evicting this parasite and take Faerun by their short hairs. Sound good? I'd hug you if it wouldn't scorch your skin off. Hang on though. Looks like you've got enough backup at your side. Not sure there's room for me. I'll catch up with you when it's time to camp for now. But don't get to any of the fun stuff without me. Got it?
You've been witness to a pantomime, I'm sorry to say. And I've played my part all too poorly. I can say only this. Karlach's not the only one who's had a villain's knife held to their throats.
Gods, what now? Do you have a tax collector on your tail?
You're closer than you'd think. One night soon when we make camp, the veil will be lifted, and I'll pay my penance. You're not in any danger, I promise. I can't say the same about me.
Hellsfire. She's coming.
Wyll, you've been naughty. And you know what happens when you're naughty.
Gods damn it. Anyone but her.
You flatterer. Why, if I had a warm heart, I'm sure it would be skipping. Call me Mizora. I'm Wyll's patron, the fount of his power. My pet's been unruly, and his leash needs a yank. We had a deal, Wyll. But Karlach's still breathing.
I've taken more pleasant shits than you, Mizora. And at least those can be buried after.
That's no kind of talk for a lady. By the way, Karlach, Zariel sends her regards.
You told me! Devils only! She's a tiefling, not a monster!
How precious. The little pupster's found his bark.
Clause G, Section 9. Target shall be limited to the infernal, the demonic, the heartless, and the soulless. Karlach meets the criteria, pet. Trust me on this.
Don't you worry. That ship has long sailed the Styx. But a defiant pup must still pay his price. To wit.
Wyll burns in the fires of Avernus. The lightning storms of Dis strike his flesh. His soul passes through each layer of the hells, gaining their essence and their torment.
That's better.
What the hells have you done?
A promise broken, a price paid. You know the terms.
Get used to the new form, pet. There's no going back. Some magic even I can't undo. Now, let's see how the frontiers fare without their precious blade.
Karlach, keep an eye on him, would you? I'll be keeping mine on you.
Oh, and Wyll, don't forget, our pact still stands. Ta-ta.
Gods damn her, straight back to the hells. Just look at me. I did what was right, and Mazora made me pay for it. I'd be hunting devils and demons, she said. Traitors and hypocrites, heartless evils of all sorts, but not Zariel's victims. Not innocent tieflings.
Warlock pacts tend to be unforgiving from what you know of them. Wyll was lucky he didn't face a more severe punishment.
All these years. You'd think it's a lesson I'd have well learned. It's Mazora who grants me the power to conjure armor and cast eldritch blasts. Before I was infected, I could even call hell beasts and summon festering clouds, but I promise you, every thrust of my blade and every flame I sparked was for the good of the coast. A possibility that's kept me awake countless nights. But I don't have a clue where to start, other than play her games and play by the rules. That's the only language devils listen to. We can have all for it, but it won't so much as chip one of her nailed claws. She'll escape to the hells, and if we succeeded, my life would be taken in exchange. My contract is very clear. I can bring Mazora no harm. She'll have to let me out of my pact willingly. The only way out is if I can out-bargain her. We're standing here with nothing but the clothes on our backs and the worms in our heads. We can. I'm sure of it. How glad I am that you see me as more than my patron's pet. Well met. He brings to mind a story. The Devil with the Silver Tongue. An old fairy tale my father read to me. The kind with a hero, a villain, and a moral. A farmer made a deal with the devil, so the story goes. In exchange for the farmer's dearest fruit, the devil granted him a bottomless coin purse. The farmer's dearest fruit, naturally, was no apple nor peach, but his beloved daughter. We can learn a lot from fairy tales, don't you think? Refuse him, no matter how tempting the offer, no matter how delicious the feast he lays out for you. The cost will be too great. take a single step towards him, and he'll dog you the whole journey. You might think you'd give up anything for a cure, but the devil won't take just anything. He'll take everything. The one little question that put me out of house and home. I can't utter the terms or circumstances of the pact. I can tell you most all else, but the pact, I'm forbidden, unless Mizora permits it. But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Mizora, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed. It was worth the sacrifice. All I can give you on that is my solemn word. Well met. Are you sure? The blade stands at the ready. And just when things were warming up, I had a dream last night. A vivid one. And so did you, judging from the way my tadpole is tingling. Someone came to me and promised to protect me while claiming that the parasite could empower me. Tempting as these powers sound, we should recognize this dream for what it is. The tadpole's little trick. No good ever came from trusting honey-tongued strangers conjured up by illithid worms. Well said. This dream figure is no friend to us.
Wyll's brows furrow as your minds connect. He sees the burning embers of Joaquin's rest, then Floric's face as she tells you of Ravengard's abduction.
Hells! Older Ravengard's been taken. Then we need to seek him out and get him to safety. You see, Grand Duke Ravengard is my father. I know I haven't said. Our relation was no matter of pride, not least for him. You heard right. My father and I were close once upon a time, until he disowned me and cast me out of Baldurs Gate. I can't tell you more. The pact forbids it. My lips are quite literally sealed. He made me an exile. That said, I'm not about to let him suffer at the hands of his captors. I've been asking myself the same question. What makes a Duke of Baldurs Gate so interesting to the Drow? Even the houses of Menzo Baranzan would have little use for my father. No, this is no Drow plot. These absolute nutters, these true souls are behind his abduction. His absence alone will sow chaos in the city. If they were to infect him, he could lead Baldur's Gate to ruin. All the more reason to find him. The Absolute has seized not just my father, but the future of the Sword Coast. I know, and you're right. My story is one of two men. The Blade of Frontiers, a man hunting the fiends who prey on the weak and claw at the coast. And Wyll Ravengard, a memory of a memory. A man who belongs to the past. I wanted you to know the Blade, not the shadow he left behind. Ah, hells. I was hoping you wouldn't notice I was gone. Really? I'm honored. In truth, I don't feel in a festive mood, and I didn't want to cast a grey cloud over the night. I'm a devil. I love the people from the Grove, but I unsettle them deep down, as I seem to unsettle everyone nowadays. You don't want a devil at your party. Claws will pop the balloons, you see? And the sweet cakes don't taste half as good as raw eggs with this blasted forked tongue. Ouch. You don't need to mock me when I'm feeling low. But off with you. This is your day. Have a dance. Enjoy the music. Some time alone beneath the stars, and I'll be back to my old self. Promise. Still, it's a night to remember. You've made sure of that. I had another dream last night. The visitor came to me and ordered me to penetrate the heart of the very cult that's spreading the infection. It gave me a tadpole gift too, just like it did the first time it appeared. I suppose it hoped this would help. At first, I thought we should avoid these gifts no matter what advantage we gain. And yet, I can't help recall the words of my father. The best plan is the one that works. These powers could be enough to edge us towards victory. Very well. If it's mind games these parasites wish to play, we'll play. And we'll win. Not so enchanting as you'd think. The Portiers, the Caldwells, they were the blue bloods hosting the fancy balls and drinking from gold goblets. Father's the son of a blacksmith, born with barely a coin in the coffers. He made a name for himself among the Flaming Fist. Brave as Baldur and stubborn as a deep Rothay. Daring, outspoken, but hardly posh. I spent more time dueling with father than I did rubbing elbows with lords. Not to say I didn't develop a taste for good wine and a talent for courtly dance. It's been a badger's age since I've twinkled my toes. A drunk ogre could put on a better show. Tempting. Give it some time. Develop a bond and maybe I'll show you a move or two. I think that unknowable powers come with unknowable consequences. I can't say I'm not curious, but once you've taken a lithid by the talon, there's no telling how deep into the abyss it might drag you. All right. What else is on your mind?
A faint voice echoes in your mind.
I sense you, true soul. Come to me. Come too near. The poison spread.
Hear that? Our drow friend won't last long. Pity.
Mir's voice fades, but your head still tingles with his anger and fear.
A shame my first brush with the famed Elminster couldn't be a tad more optimistic. Listen, I might invoke the Triad from time to time, appeal to Helm, but I'm no man of faith. Not like Gale. I don't know what drives a man to consider his own death, among countless others, to be an appropriate exchange for his goddess's forgiveness. To me, it all sounds like nonsense. The faith that matters most is that which you hold in yourself, in the ones that most matter to you. Big Bomb be damned. Gale's got everything he needs to defeat the Absolute already. Talent, nerve, and powerful allies at his side. I hope he'll come to see that.
times over, pet.
Ah, I love this time of year. The dickheads start popping up wherever you look.
What do you want, Mizora?
Drop the attitude and perk up your ears. You've got a new mission. Absolute's cult has gone and grabbed one of Zariel's assets. A devil, and a powerful one at that. They're locked up in the cult's fortress, Moonrise Towers, and you're getting him out. Clause Z, Section 13. Should promised soul refuse obeyance or neglect duty, the pact holder shall cast the promised into Avernus as a lemure. I'll make it simple. Wyll fails or refuses, and he turns to a thick blob of stink flesh and sinks to Avernus. Now, be a good boy and play fetch, pup, or you'll spend an eternity sizzling in the hells.
Mizora's words may be flippant, but they are tinged with desperation. She cannot afford for Wyll to fail this mission. This may be your best chance to negotiate Wyll out of his pact.
Oh, and what condition is that?
Your mind links with Wyll's, drawn in by his increasing panic.
What are you doing?
Wyll relaxes, and your connection fades.
Interesting. Now, why should I go letting my favorite pet off his leash? Incredible. You actually think you hold the winning hand? Fine. I'll play your game. But I amend the pact once the mission's done, not before. Clause F, Section 9. Soulbinder shall bestow reward or favor only upon soul bearer's fulfillment of related obligation. Now, to Moonrise, pet. And do mind the shadows. They've been especially hungry.
The more bullshit she pours, the more of it I'm forced to swallow. Mizora set me on fiends inside and outside the hells. She's never ordered a rescue. Gods, she makes a mockery of everything the blade stands for. Such an asshole. Not a one. All that matters is that we free it. Fail, and I'm made a mindless blob clawing at demons on the front lines of the Blood War. And it means everything to me. I always knew what my future held, and I know I chose right. Thank you for sticking your neck out for me. I mean it. But I'm not going to celebrate till I'm actually free. I can feel Mizora scheming, plotting. She won't let me go without making a fuss. Trust me on that.
It's said that anyone who bathes in the river of blood emerges as one born anew. It's a lot like that, I imagine. I feel the weight of these horns on my head, curling upwards like a mammoth's tusks. I feel these ridges snaking down my neck, not to mention a few bumps and prongs in unmentionable places. But I haven't seen my reflection just yet. Be my mirror. What do you see? I can't tell if you're being silly or serious. I'll accept the flattery either way. I suppose I'll grow used to the new me, horns and all. The people will see a curiosity, maybe even a beast hungry for their souls. But I will slay their monsters, keep them safe, and one day they will see the Blade of Frontiers again. By Baldur's beard. Olsen spoke true. The land is swallowed by curse.
I won't have to worry about the sun, at least.
I've never seen darkness like this before. It's unsettling. Only way to moonrise, unfortunately.
Hold close to the light and keep the shadows at bay. Are you sure? The blade stands at the ready. An excellent choice, if I say so myself. The shadows are cruel. It would take a miracle for Arabella's mother and father to survive them. Well, lucky for us, we've got a knack for miracles. Let's reunite the girl with her mother and father. She deserves that much. Because there's nothing to tell. She died when I was born. As a boy, my bond with father was too deep to miss the mother I never had. Now, well, I'd be lying if I said I'd never thought about my mother. What life would have been like if she'd lived. Maybe I'd be living in the city. Maybe I'd never have been forced into this cursed pact. But there's no use lingering on maybes. My mind is on the stories of today and tomorrow, not those of yesterday. In my years as the Blade, I've witnessed countless cruelties, faced unimaginable evil. But Thorm, he is made of pure hate. The Sword Coast will rejoice when the bastard's fallen. And lest we forget, we've a devil to rescue. 2 missions, 1 destination. Not in a mere prison cell, certainly. My guess, Thorm will have confined him in the bowels of the tower. The deeper we dig, the closer we get. Onward! We cannot let the Night Song do battle alone! Gods be damned. With that parasite in his brain, Father could wreak untold havoc in the Absolute's name. Should Baldurs Gate fall to the Absolute, every one of the coast cities will be ripe for the plucking. We're not just fighting for our cure. We're fighting for my father. We're fighting for the Gate. We're fighting for all of Faerun. Worm's Rock Fortress. All travelers to Baldurs Gate flow through it. It serves as headquarters for the Flaming Fist and their commander, my father. The Absolute's army's on the march. Gods forbid a tadpoled Grand Duke throw open the gates for them. Orin, I'd never heard tell of, but Gortash I know. Or know of, more precisely. A self-styled strategic advisor to Baldur's Gate's peers. A bit player with dreams of a leading role, the way Father told it. He had no use for Gortash, and even less for his advice.
I don't remember much beyond that. But where these chosen are concerned, I have a suspicion we're about to know more than we'd like. Yes, but first, a question. If your home were under siege, what would you sacrifice to save it? As would I, and more. I was 17. Father, older Ravengard, had just been named a Grand Duke and was called away to Elturel to help settle a dispute. That's when the cult of the dragon made its move. A religion devoted to conjuring the most evil of goddesses, the dragon Tiamat. A 10-day after Father left, I heard a whisper as I slept. Duskhawk Hill, the Queen of Chaos awakens. Go alone. I grabbed a rapier and set out. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, yet not a single star was shining. There they were, gathered at the foot of the hill.
Your head tingles. Wyll wants to show you what happened. In the looming shadow of the mount, 5 groups of 5 figures each encircle a lofty totem. Atop each totem, a dragon's head is carved, and a massive orb held in its mouth. The cultists chant, first softly, then crying to the starless sky. There is a crack of thunder, a gust of wind, and a dragon's white head appears in the storm. The first of Tiamat's 5 heads. As the maelstrom howls, Missoura's lips press to your ear. She will destroy Baldurs Gate. Grant me your soul, and I will give you the power to save it, she whispers.
She read the terms while 2 devils stood witness, and I said yes. 1 soul for 1 city. She didn't. She came on order of her mistress, Zariel. Tiamat made a play for power. Zariel had other plans. That was the most Missoura's ever said. All that mattered was that she got her prize. Another pet added to her warlock menagerie. I don't know that it was brave. I just know that it was right. The moment I agreed, I burned with the fires of Avernus and oozed the rot of Dis. The cultists choked on our poisons and burned from our flames. And when we were done, all that remained were 5 grayed orbs atop a pile of ash. My soul was bound, and my lips were sealed. It is the one scar I ever bore of it. Missoura replaced it with a sending stone. She uses it to track my location and speak from a distance. I could flee to the spine of the world or the depths of the lower dark and still never shake her. I don't know that it was brave. I just know that it was right. He returned to an unsuspecting city and a wayward son with a smirking devil at his side. I tried to tell him the truth, but my mouth couldn't form the words. I'd led him to the battlefield, but Missoura had swept it clean. I showed him my stone eye, but he only turned away. After, he said only one word: go. So I did. I understand. No, never. He did the only thing he could. In his eyes, I invited a devil into our midst. I was a fool at best, a traitor at worst, and Grand Duke Ravengard suffers neither.
More than you know. The better question is, did he ever miss me? If he did, he missed the Wyll Ravenguard he once knew, not the hell-touched warlock he returned to. Taken from the light to be raised in darkness. Your truth is finally dawning, Shadowheart. You can follow its light, or you can retreat back into dusk. The truth is finally dawning. Shadowheart can follow its light, or she can retreat back into dusk. Men, women, children, all barred from entry. A damn travesty. A decade ago, Baldurs Gate would have welcomed any and everyone seeking refuge. Who would take in these souls, if not the Jewel of Baldurin? As long as Gortash is in charge, they'll be left shivering at the gates. All part of the plan, of course. Step 1. Create an army and order it to march on the city. Step 2. Shut the gates in the name of security. Step 3. Bask in the applause. Gortash hasn't made Baldur's Gate safe. He's made it a prison. And when his army breaks through, the people will have nowhere to run. To make this city a safe haven, we'll need to bathe Gortash and his allies in their own blood.